Do you like watching yourself back winning the biggest bike races in the world?
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to see. Yeah, it's nice.
And what about the future? We were talking backstage a little bit about what's next for you, Anna. So briefly, before we have a chat with Phil, what's next for you in 2022?
Yeah, well, I just quit, and it's now for everybody, also the cyclists, it's the, like the holiday period. So it's still pretty quiet, but for next year and the years after, hopefully, if I like it, I will be the sports director of the team, same team. So for SD-Worx, I will be sports director. Something totally different than riding my bike myself, but yeah, I think it's a challenge. I really, feel like butterflies for it. I'm really excited to go there, to stay in cycling, and actually I'm also happy that I don't have to do it myself anymore and to have change in my life. I mean, so that's what I'm hopefully going to do for the next years.
And briefly, before we move elsewhere, you must be very, very excited. I mean, we were talking backstage with Phil about your effect on women's cycling as not just an unbelievable athlete, but as a wonderful individual, but also a person that's inspired others and helped give that momentum to women's sports to the point where we're getting towards parity. There's still a lot of work to be done, but we're getting there. But importantly, we had Paris-Roubaix this year and also the Women's Tour de France. And you're not going to be able to ride it, but you'll be there in the team car giving that advice to your team.
Yeah, and I mean, I did so many years of racing, and for me also, I did new races. There were highlights, which was the first time of something, and I hope in the future it will be like that. It stays like that, and I think women's cycling is developing very fast at the moment. So not riding it myself, but hopefully in the car behind. And I think it still is the same. Like, I also did not ride Paris-Roubaix myself, but it was there, and you still feel like we achieved something together, that girls are able to ride this race. And hopefully in the future it continues like this. Even if I cannot ride myself, it's still the achievement of not only the riders in cycling, but also everybody around. And it's not only women, there are also guys who are fighting for it. And that's the good thing.
Wonderful stuff. I cannot wait to see how you get on next year. And it's definitely a mix of anticipation, nervousness, excitement, and everything that comes with that. I can see that twinkle in your eye that you can't wait to get started.
I don't know how I react in the car, but being nervous, but we will see.
I can sense. Well, Phil, lovely to meet you. I'm intrigued. I'd say the best way. Let's rewind. Let's talk a little bit about yourself at the start. Why you have ended up doing what you're doing. I think the best way to do it, just introduce yourself in relation to why you set up this app, the Super Sapiens app, but also Novo Nordisk, previously Team Type 1. Give us a little bit of an insight into your journey, really.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. I mean, I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes when I was 7 months old, and the doctors told my parents I'd be dead or blind by 25. And it was early on that they found out if I was active and moving, then my insulin worked better. But in the late 80s, diabetics were not supposed to compete in sport because of the risk of hypoglycemia. My parents said, screw it, if he's going to die young, he might as well live, and the bike is life, sport is life. And I learned at a very early age, if I had good controlled glucose, I could win. Bad controlled glucose, I would fail. And then third, most importantly, was the days that I exercised, I could eat what I wanted to eat and still have good numbers. So eventually I started riding a bike to eat Snickers bars. I wasn't very good, but I didn't quit. Most guys in the U.S. quit because of cars or girls. I came from a single mother household, so cars weren't an option. I was much too awkward for girls, so I just kept riding my bike. And it was great. But in college, I'd inspired a guy with type 1. He said, Phil, seeing you win races, you're my hero. It's proof that I can win one day too. And to me, that felt really good. And so over the next 6 months with Joe and I's friendship, he lowered his hemoglobin A1C from a gonna die soon to a gonna prevent complications. And I thought the bike could be a great platform to inspire more people to take that first step towards a better self. And I've just been lucky to use the bike as a platform to help people for the last 15 years with the team and change lives, inspire. But it's an honor to be up here with Anna, who has paved the way for this young lady in the front.
Little Ruby, Ruby Isaac in the front there.
You can see Ruby. She's dreaming of that Olympic gold medal. She's dreaming of that world champion. People need heroes. They need inspiration. And what better way to do that than the bike, right?
Oh, definitely. Nothing deserves a round of applause. Yeah. So, Phil, at what point then did you decide it was going to be the bike? Or, I mean, we all got on bikes in different ways. It was either to ride to school, just to hang out with your mates, just primarily because it's joyful. It's a joyful experience. It's a liberating experience. There's a purity and a simplicity to riding. But what led you to ride a bike then and realize that at some point you could at some point affect significant change?
You know, first it was Joe that I helped back in 2003, 2004. And then, you know, I started Team Type 1 as a business plan class project in college. I got $400 in venture funding, bought t-shirts, enough t-shirts, sold them, and got myself to a charity ride. Gave the keynote. Joe and I got first and second in a charity ride, so take it with a grain of salt. But people said, this is what diabetes needs. It was very negative disease. Like everything in life were things that you could not do. And they said, you guys got to do something big, ride your bikes across America. And like, well, I just graduated college, $75,000 in debt. I can't afford to take a month away from work. So why don't we race across America? And so we put an all Type 1 team together to do RAM back in 2006. We got on continuous glucose monitor trials, which led me to the first sponsorship from Abbott, so we became Team Type 1 monitored by Freestyle. The amount of lives that were changed when kids saw a team of people with diabetes like succeeding. We got across the country in 5 days, 16 hours, and 4 minutes. I just saw how impactful we were for people and said, let's make this as big as possible so that not just, you know, we provide access to medicine in Rwanda, we've changed healthcare infrastructure in multiple countries, but it's that hope that we can provide. You know, hope is priceless. It takes 30 seconds. As Sam Brand, one of my favorite athletes on the team, it takes 30 seconds to change someone's life forever. And I love the bike. And so, you know, why not just combine passion with ability to help people, and you can make an impact.
It's been, as a commentator, it's been wonderful to see you guys racing over the last few years, racing in some of the biggest races in the world, including the Giro d'Italia, Milan San Remo, and you're always protagonists. You're always eager to get out there and animate the races. So there's a lovely vibrancy. There's a joie de vivre. There's a freedom about the way that you race, and that is inspirational to people too. That you've overcome so much, obviously with medicine as well. But and I know you have quite an insane community in terms of followers on Facebook. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. Is it 4 million, more, 5? This last time I looked, there we go, I should have done my research. But it's in the millions. It's far more than the biggest World Tour teams. And that's, that's amazing.
It's actually more fans on Facebook than all of the World Tour teams combined. And that's because the diabetes community is a powerful one.
So you've got the team, and then recently, this is where we're going to bring Anna in again a little bit. Explain what Super Sapiens is, how it can change the way elite athletes can operate, understand their bodies, both male and female, and also people with type 1 diabetes as well. So when was that idea seeded from yourself?
I had a conceptual patent back in 2009 on getting CGM data to the bike computer. And technology didn't exist. I was young, didn't know how to build a company. But we partnered with different companies in the cycling space to do this. One spent 2 years and then they failed. Another spent another year, they failed. And ultimately it was Chip Hawkins, the CEO of Wahoo. We were on a bike ride together.
He's a lovely guy, isn't he?
He's
a lovely guy.
He's been a dear friend, mentor, advisor. And I said, Chip, I need this. And other companies failed. He goes, I'll do it for you. And 2 months later, I had glucose on my bike computer. And in the first 15 days of riding a bike with all the data in front of me, I learned more about optimizing nutrition and fueling on the bike than the previous 15 years of having a continuous glucose monitor in my pocket.
Wow.
And this is the best invention I've ever had. Started seeking mentorship and counsel from people who had built and sold products. And I kept hearing from the endurance athlete world, like, I don't have diabetes, but I'd buy this. You know, everyone who's ridden a bike has bonked at some point, has run out of energy, has had a weak moment. And so often people mistake like lack of fueling for lack of fitness. And they feel down, and they train more, they work, and it just gets this negative spiral. But when they fuel better, they feel better. And we're finally, it's giving insight and guide, like just the data that can help people figure out how to fuel for themselves. So it's been a fascinating journey. I would say that running a startup is like running a cycling team. You have these great moments of when your rider's hands are in the air, but it's a journey. But we're learning so much, and the feedback from our consumers about how they're fundamentally changing their fueling habits and how they're setting personal best after personal best after personal best.
Wow.
There was once heart rate meters, then power meters, and now there's glucose. So glucose is the driver of power.
I mean, it's absolutely fascinating. I mean, Anna, I know you were an early adopter, so explain first how you found out about it and how you have integrated it into your training, or at the very least gained an understanding about how your body operates. And let's be honest, women's bodies operate differently than men's because of all the different cycles as well. So has that been quite a valuable tool to you?
Yeah, of course I knew about it, and I saw a couple of times on the internet the sensor until Phil reached to me and he was asking, would you like to try it, and would you like to see if it's helpful for you, or if you don't like it, just say it straight away and then take it off and throw it away. So I said, yeah. I mean, as an athlete, you're always busy trying to find the right balance between food, between riding. When do you take food? It's one of the biggest things you're always thinking about. What do you put in your mouth in the morning before you're riding? How many time is between the breakfast and your training? When do you feel right? When do you feel like, shaky and not good? Where is it coming from? Those questions are I think there for every athlete, but also for everybody. I mean, if you do sports, sometimes you feel great and you want to know why, and sometimes you don't. And it's so when I heard about the sensor and trying it, I said yes straight away. I wanted to try it and to see if. Well, first I thought it's easy if you can see real numbers, for sure you will say like, that's how it works and that's how I need to do it. So that was a bit when I first got it. I was like, I see numbers, but they're changing all the time, and it's difficult to understand why and what's happening. It's not like you eat, it goes up, your glucose goes up, and you go on training and it goes down until a point where it's too low and you need to eat and it goes up again. I was hoping for this, but it's not that simple. I mean, and of course it's not, but it's nice to find out how your body is reacting on food and how it's, what's the right timing to put in fuel, to put in bars. When do you eat bars? What's the difference between bars or just a sandwich with peanut butter? Is there a difference?
Well, peanut butter's a bit tastier, isn't it, apart from that?
Yeah, it is. It is. And that's with everything. And the difficult thing for me was, then finally I thought, okay, I found out what's best for me. And then the next day you try to do the best, what was best for me, and then it's different again. And that's maybe also so much different for like guys, women. It depends if you have your period or not. It's changing a lot in your body. And for everybody the same. It's like we cannot make a protocol of eat this, this, and this, and you feel like this, or your glucose will be steady. If it was that simple, we were not sitting here, I think.
Yeah, I mean, can you just, because there's a lot to unpack there, isn't there? So in the simplest way, succinctly as you can, Phil, explain what this app actually does and what these numbers that you're talking about we're actually referring to, so we can quantify and get a sense of actually what it does and what an athlete or just an individual can gain from using this app. So just simplify it a little bit. What are the kind of core principles of what it does?
The core principles is it turns every human into a scientist for n equals 1. And for each individual, that's the most important n that matters. But it's the technology we're using was built for people with diabetes. And Abbott, who's our commercial partner, they've got 3 million customers around the world who've been using this to dose insulin for the last, it came to market in 2014 here in Europe. So we've now taken that technology, and instead of having to scan it, it's Bluetooth. So you scan the sensor once, and then you get Bluetooth data, 1,440 data points per day per person. And then, to Anna's point, data without context is meaningless. So what we've started to do is, we auto pull in, we pair with Training Peaks. We're connected with Apple Health. So when you do exercise events, it comes into the app, and then you get a glucose score to find out how well you fueled. And so you see, oh, I was 33 here, so why? And you can start to really optimize your own fueling protocol and find out what works. And we're all different. And I've been watching my athletes with diabetes, Team Novo Nordisk. Some of my guys start the race at 200 because their glucose goes down at the start of exercise. I've got other guys who start at 90 because their glucose goes up during exercise. So really giving you power, the insights of what's going on in your body so that you can adapt your fueling and find out what works. Because when the numbers are in the glucose performance zone, and we kind of guide people for performance zones, for recovery zones, soon to have priming zones for what to eat, when to eat before you exercise, we just help you be the best of you. And it's like my career has been built on helping people with diabetes, and with this technology, we can help the world. People are using this for weight loss, for weight management. It's a great tool for longevity. If you think, at the end of the day, we all rust to death, and it's glucose variability which expedites the rust. So if you exercise more, there's less variability. I want everyone to be active, right? It's just, and all of you in this community here, you're all here because of the bike. We got to get more people on the bike, because when you're active, your glucose is better. And glucose is better means you're going to live longer. And in this day and age, health is wealth. So I think between the bike and the sensors, we have a chance to provide wealth to the world just through a happy and active lifestyle.
So just from a practical perspective, is it invasive, or is it just on the skin? So just so I can get a sense of how it actually works.
So a needle goes in and comes out right away, and there's a very small filament that stays in for 14 days. So you replace the patch every 14 days, and then it currently sends sensor data, sends the glucose data to our app, so you can use it for an app. But then I've also got my wrist reader here. So I didn't want to invent this company until I saw the data live in front of me. So we're all about getting the data. We pair with Garmin, so it goes from, you can see the data on your Garmin. When you're on a bike ride, you see glucose of 160, and then the next one's 155. You think, maybe I need to eat soon. And the next one's 153 with an arrow going down. You take 20 grams of carbs right away, and then you stay flat. So it really allows you just precision fueling, not what you eat, but exactly when you eat it to optimize performance. And we'll soon come out with the integration with Wahoo. We're looking at others. We just want to provide active people the means to have more fun being active. And you have more fun when you go faster, and fuel equals speed.
I mean, back to you, Anna. I mean, it is absolutely fascinating, isn't it? I mean, I stopped racing when power meters, I raced my entire career without power meters, but I kind of wished I'd understood more about my power, but then everybody else was in the same boat. So how are you a techno head? Are you really intrigued with, I guess going into the future, this is a tool that you could use with your team and optimize performance, because performance is increasingly being optimized, but there's a finite amount of optimization to do now. We're getting to this point where how much quicker can a cyclist go? Aerodynamics, fueling, rest, the psychology. But this is potentially a game changer. We understand the importance of fueling correctly, but this is another level, isn't it? It's quite exciting.
Yeah, it's really exciting, and it's as an athlete, you're like, the best thing is that you know exactly what to do to be good, and that's with this new technology. It was the same when we got the power meters in the beginning. I also started without a power meter. It was normal, even without a heart rate belt. I got it when I was junior, but so this is also something. It's new, and everybody is very interested in it. But it's still not like, if you use it and you don't have the knowledge or you don't do anything with it. It's just there are numbers which are not saying you anything. And it's also not like we cannot, like I said, we cannot make a protocol like, if you see this number, this is happening. Because every day is a different day, and a number is together with how you feel, and is together with what did you eat before you have this number. How is your day? How are you mentally? that's the influence on the number. So it's not like you also cannot compare one day with the other day on the same number. It might have the same feeling and a result of what you see on your Garmin as a glucose number, for example. So that's something, it's really interesting. If you can get it right, I think it gives a lot of information on how to do it, what kind of foods are good for you, when do you need to fuel, and how. For example, oatmeal is something cyclists eat a lot before training. Also, even before races, oatmeal is like it's everything. it's making your day. But the thing I discovered is that oatmeal for me gives me a really high peak in the morning, which when I start training, I really feel on the bike. It's like I'm hungry already again, which is not normal because I just had breakfast. But it's the feeling like, a bit shaky, and so I changed it. When I saw the numbers of this, I tried different kind of breakfast, pancakes, normal bread, rice, everything basically, and it made a big difference on most days. Sometimes it still didn't, but on most days I found out that oatmeal is not the best breakfast for me.
That's amazing,
which was painful.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, who doesn't like porridge or flapjacks? Or I mean, it is considered it's a complex carbohydrate, slow release of energy. You know, that's fascinating because
so I didn't like the result at all.
I didn't like the result. I'm intrigued by it as a proposition, and just sticking on the subject of fueling. And we're going to go off on a bit of a tangent here, Anna, because I'm always fascinated in what's in riders' back pockets. And what at the end of a race, and we've all been there, especially in the cold weather. And you generally know what you've had in your musette and what's in your pockets, a gel, a bar, or whatever, some cake, rice cake. Towards the end of a race, it's things are kicking off, you're thinking about winning, but you're suffering. What was the one thing that you like to reach into your pocket for, to know, not just for the nutritional content and what it would do from a physiological point of view, but from a psychological point of view? Because food it fuels us, but also the right food can give you this surge, this kind of this joy, can't it? And you can't do that all day. You have to save it. So that was a tangent, wasn't it? What was your favourite back pocket finale bit of food?
Yeah, it's quite simple actually, but it's true. Like you say, I had the feeling when I did my food right in the race, when I had the feeling I had been eating on the right moments and I still felt good in the final, and I was calculating it. When do I take the rice cake? When do I take the bars? Okay, and in the final it was always time for that caffeine gel. Yep. And it's just, you have normal gels, but also gels with caffeine, just to have that extra, I don't know, it's like that extra kicker in the final. So also mentally you knew, okay, when I take this, like 20 minutes before the finish, sort of, I will be still good at the finish line. So if I need to sprint, or if that climb was still at the finish line, for example, in Flash, you have the muur in the end, it's really important to have the timing right between that final caffeine gel and knowing, okay, this is all right, I'm ready for the final. And then it's mentally also ticked box, it's good, I'm going for it.
Definitely. So. And that's what I guess the app can just fine-tune that, can't it? And you can optimize situations like that with the app if you're using it.
You find the number that you feel good at, and then you optimize your fueling to stay at that glucose performance zone, as we call it. And we did a 300-person study of our customers who were paired with Training Peaks. And we found that after 1 month on product, they increased their time in the glucose performance zone 95%. 95% improved fueling after 1 month. And it's always the devil's in the details from a power standpoint. The average increase was between 14 and 18% for those users in 1 month time. So it's just fueling matters. Now we have data that can help guide you, because your good number is different than my good number, is different than Anna's good number. but we can all find what it takes to get there.
Our numbers are very different than Anna's best numbers, to be honest with you.
That was maybe a little too subtle there.
Well, there's not just the three of us on stage. It's not just myself, Anna, and Phil. We've got a rather special guest to come and join us, haven't we? Which is a young man, very close to your heart, very special individual. I've had the pleasure of just meeting Anna and myself. We just met him. So would you like to do the honors and introduce this wonderful young man?
Ladies and gentlemen, as I said earlier, everyone needs inspiration, and I want to bring my inspiration and my hero up on stage, Mr. Tom Kelsall, who's got his eyes on a big race, the Special Olympics in 2023, and he's also a proud member of Team Novo Nordisk. Come on up, Tom.
Welcome to the stage, Tom. How does it feel to sit next to Anna van der Breggen?
Very good.
I think it's how we all feel, isn't it? So right, how do you guys know each other? What is your story?
So one of the beautiful things about Novo Nordisk as a partner, when we've been together, this is our 9th year together, is it's not just about racing bikes and throwing our arms in the air, it's about making an impact in lives. And so a few years back, there was this thing called Pedal for 7. So it was 7 days of riding with people with diabetes all around the UK. And where I had former professionals to come ride with the community, healthcare professionals, people with diabetes, anyone in the space. And Tom made it a goal of his to be ready for a 60-mile Pedal for 7. So that's how he came into the awareness of, here's a really amazing human being who uses the bike to feel good, like we all do, right? And then I got the chance to meet Tom at Milano San Remo. He came to our bus in 2018, said good luck to Sam Brand, said good luck to the team.
Sam got in the breakaway as well, didn't he? Of course he did.
Sam's got this curse about the breakaway at San Remo. He wants it. But we did have 4 riders in the breakaway for 260 Ks in Milano San Remo. Let that sit in. 4 riders in the break. We're a team that likes visibility.
I was talking about you guys all day. I was commentating on it, so it was a diamond move.
And so Tom became our good luck charm. Then fast forward to Talent ID, because every summer we help kids. That's my pipeline creation, is I bring in 25, 50 kids from around the world to come try out for Team Novo Nordisk. And when we went virtual, I said, what? I did a ride for Tom on his 16th birthday on Zoom. We got to meet and suffer a little together. And I said, Tom, I'd love for you to come join Talent ID. And seeing just how hard this young man worked, how hard he pushed, how diligent he was about everything. And at the end of camp, Tom, you said you had a dream. And what was that dream?
My dream was to get a gold medal at my Special Olympics in next 4 or whatever years.
That's wonderful. So, Tom, why do you enjoy? What's so special about cycling? Why do you enjoy cycling so much?
I enjoy cycling because I get to experience the different hills and go out to different areas where I haven't been before.
And what about meeting the team for the first time? They must have been really inspiring to you to be around those guys.
It was very inspiring to be around Phil and the other team when I saw them in Milan San Remo.
I mean, Milan San Remo was one of the most inspirational races in the world, of course, but it's wonderful as well. I think what we should do is first put our hands together and wish this young man all the very best in his objectives in the future. Well, I'm going to leave the last word with you, because it was a lovely conversation. Lovely to meet you, Tom. Lovely as ever to have a chat, and I wish you all the best in your new pursuits next year. I feel maybe the last word from yourself in relation to your journey and what's next. You've done so much in a relatively short period of time. So what's next for you?
I'll keep working on access to medicine in Africa. That's for me is very important. Now it's sustainable care in Rwanda that's taken 11 years to do. And the bike has allowed us to do that. Because of Eliud Kipchoge winning a gold medal with the Super Sapiens and Abbott Libre Sense, now we're getting CGM into Kenya because they demand, if he can use it, we need this for life or death. So keep working on that, and just keep being around people who like to ride bikes, right? It's a good community. If you ride a bike, you're a better person. And right? Yeah.
There you go.
But I want to just challenge everyone here to go get someone who you don't think couldn't ride a bike or doesn't want to ride a bike or is too big to ride a bike. Get them on the bike, because that same feeling of happiness and joy that we get, when someone does their first ride, they'll get it too. So let's together as a cycling industry, the sports industry, get more people more active more often and help them enjoy the love of the bike that I have. I mean, it's the reason I'm alive. I'm grateful to the bike and anyone in this industry who helps do so. So we're one team. Let's ride more, ride often, and earn what you want to eat.
Yeah, or drink. On that note, guys, thanks very much. You've been a wonderful audience. Hope you enjoyed it. Tom, you're amazing. Anna, you are too. An inspiration. Lovely to chat to you all. Thanks very much indeed.